Greetings, salutations, respect, and love. I am Scott, and you, my dear friends, have wandered onto the Prog Corner. Yeah, we're the #1 prog rock channel on YouTube. Because I said so, there's no empirical data to support that whatsoever, just my own ego getting in the way. Hey, welcome to the day after Super Bowl, and I got a good one for you today, man. It's the new Big Big Train. Apparently, this is like their 15th album. They put out like 5 albums early on that nobody really listened to, and it was just basically, Greg Sponton and Andy Poole and whoever else they could get together. But in 2009, this here band brought in the best singer in the world, the best drummer in the world, and the best guitar player in the world. You add those 3 components, yeah, you better get good, and they sure did when they added Nick DiVirgilio, David Longdon, and Dave Gregory to the band, and promptly put out the masterpiece, The Underfall Yard. In 2012, English Electric Part 1 came out the following year. English Electric Part 2, both incredible. 2016 Folklore, my favorite, probably. I don't know. 2017, they released both Grimspound and The Second Brightest Star. And then 2019 Grand Tour. And then the wheels all fell off, man. They lost so many members. They lost Andy Poole. They lost Danny Mannings. They lost Dave Gregory. They lost Rachel Hall. Then they bring Carly Bryan in. They lose her. It was just, they were just hemorrhaging, man. How could this band go on? And then David Longdon dies. Forget about it. And they dropped Common Ground in 2021, which was a nice record. 2022 was David Longdon's last record with the band, Welcome to the Planet. I didn't love those albums, man. So with all the changes in Big Big Train world, I was a little concerned about this one. I am not going to lie, because I don't think the last 2 were as good as Grand Tour or Grimspound or Folklore. So I detected a decrease in their musical abilities. Maybe just their songwriting was going down a little bit, but they righted the ship on this here album. It's called The Likes of Us, and it sports the great Sarah Ewing cover. She was David Longdon's partner. She's also the sister of the editor of Prog magazine, so give her a break, man. So who's in the band now? Well, you've got, of course, the great Greg Sponton, who I was able to talk to a couple weeks ago on the channel. Nick DiVirgilio, of course. Ricard Sojablum, and I know that's not how you pronounce his name. I apologize, Ricard. David Foster. Alberto Brevin is the new lead singer, and you've got a new keyboard player, Oscar Holdorf, who does an amazing job, and Claire Lindley's on her second. Her and Dave Foster were both on Welcome to the Planet. So this is their second album. First album for Oscar and Alberto, and then you got the core 3 of Greg Sponton, Nick DiVirgilio, and Ricard Sojablum. And I'm telling you, Alberto Brevin is now part of that mix, because there's 8 songs on here, and he got co-writing on 5 of them. So he is already a big part of the songwriting equation in the band. They are joined by the cello player David Mullen, and then you've got the great Big Big Train brass band who are all over this album, thankfully. Dave Desmond on trombone, Ben Godfrey on trumpet, Nick Stones on French horn, and John Truscott on tuba. Yeah, and I just love the brass in Big Big Train. To me, it's not Big Big Train without that brass section. I absolutely love it. So let's go through these 8 songs and, try to make some sense out of this here new album. It starts with a song called Light Left in the Day, and this is a co-write between Alberto Brevin and Greg Sponton. It's like a 6-minute song, and it starts out with Alberto singing right away with a 12-string guitar behind him. You're singing in C, and you don't have to wait long for that brass band to come up, man, and they just sound so good. Just, announcing their appearance, and yeah, they are not going to be ignored on this album for sure. Then you get a little sawtooth keyboard announcing that the song is actually coming into its own, and you get a real cool instrumental passage that the brass is in all the way through. You got a cool solo here, and somebody needs to tell me if that's a guitar or a keyboard. I have no idea. It's just so amazing. And then you get the main theme kicking in here. you'll hear it again on the big epic Beneath the Mast that shows up here, and it's just an amazingly beautiful melody that you do want to hear over and over and over again. The next song was the first single. It's called Oblivion, and this is the only songwriting credit for either Nick DiVirgilio. No, Nick gets another songwriting credit here, but Dave Foster and Nick DiVirgilio wrote this song, and it's one of those patented early album rockers that Big Train likes to do, like Let's Make Some Noise or Alive or some of those more rockin' tracks. It fits right in. It sounds great. Alberto, I swear he sounds a little bit like Dave Longdon here. Yeah, the timbre's totally different in his voice, but something about the way he emotes while he's singing definitely does kind of ring a David Longdon bell inside of me. I love it. Song's in G minor, and it's just a really, really good, it's a song you could actually hear on the radio, and it wouldn't really be out of place, but it isn't terrible. It's actually really good. The third song, oh man, this is the one you guys need to hear. This is so good at 17 and a half minutes long. The epic is called Beneath the Mast. And apparently this is a song Greg wrote about his stepfather who recently passed away. You got a co-write from Nick DiVirgilio and Alberto Brevin on this track, and it starts with more 12-string acoustic guitar. This time you're in E-flat minor, so I'm guessing they probably detuned a little bit to make that happen, and then the mellotron comes in, and man, when you got a 12-string guitar and a mellotron going, is there a better combination in the history of music? Well, I don't know. Throw a little violin in there, and Claire Lindley adds that, and yeah, maybe you got it right there. And then the piano plays that main melody that was in the first song. Do 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 do. It's just awesome. The vocal section comes in, and it's a weird little verse chorus thing where the verses are cool, but the chorus sounds lazy and like it's not really going anywhere. They go through it twice. The chorus comes back a second time, so they play the chorus a second time, and it's like, where's the beef, man? There's really very little going on here, but they are just lulling you into a false sense of security, man. You get the chiming electric guitars coming in, and Nick's drumming is so good here. He's in swing mode totally, and then at the 9:30 mark, the prog craziness kicks in, and for the next 3 minutes, it's just absolute prog heaven, just absolute instrumental prog bliss for the next 3 minutes, and then at the 12.5-minute mark, Oscar's keyboard is playing that main theme again, and he's playing a keyboard patch that is so cool, and he's got a little pitch wheel going, so at the end of certain notes, he bends it a little bit up or down. Man, this young cat's awesome. Such a great addition to the band. They've never had like a superstar keyboard player before in the band. It's always everything's been kind of by committee with this band, multiple guitar players and multiple keyboard players and whatnot. Oscar's the keyboard player in this band, and he is just a monster. Oh yeah, Beneath the Mast, what an incredible song. I'd be surprised if there's a better epic that comes out in 2024. Next up is Skates On. It's a really beautiful ballad, I guess kind of like a lilting pop song, kind of similar to what like XTC might do in their pastoral days of, Apple Venus era stuff, but it's great. It's a song about friendship and lightness and being outside and making the most of the time you do have here on Earth. It's in B flat, and there's a line in here about there's light left in the day, which of course was the title of the first track, and they do a lot of that here, trying to integrate different themes and ideas throughout this album to create a cohesive whole. The backing vocals are absolutely gorgeous on here. I love how the verses are nice and shiny, and then you get into the chorus and it's a little dark and minor key like. Really great, fantastic song. Written by Greg Sponton alone. Then you get to the second mini epic. This one's only 10 minutes long. It's called Miramar. It was the second single released. I love it when a band releases a 10-minute long song as a single. It starts with the 3-part harmony of Oscar, Nick, and Alberto singing, and it's kind of bringing to mind the whole DiVirgilio Morse Jennings thing with those gorgeous harmonies. Here Oscar gets to take a lead, and I was a little surprised about that. He gets a real good vocal turn here. The song starts out in D minor. You got a lot of Greg Sponton's Rick bass and Claire's violin coming in. And then you got a couple times they like bring the song down a little bit. And it's, again, totally making me think of XTC, like Skylarking era. And then you get to the 5:45 mark, and this thing just gets enormous. This thing gets huge with the keyboard and the choral patches and stuff. You get an amazing violin solo that's just so epic, making me think of King Crimson at times with that incredible big train brass section just going nuts in the background. And then Nick sings a little bit here, and then all three of them are singing. Just so great. There's like a lot of vocal by committee on here. There's a lot of songwriting by committee here, which is kind of the silver lining of the whole let's blow up the whole band and let's lose the greatest lead singer in Prog and the greatest guitar player in the history of music. Oh, but we're going to be just fine. How? This guy, Alberto Brevin, man, they found this guy in PFM and they got themselves an absolute gem. He, I guess, helped with the production on this thing. So he's more than just a singer. He's a songwriter, producer, just amazing. Next up is a track called Love is the Light. And this is another Brevin Spontan co-write. It's 6 minutes long. It's kind of the quiet after the storm of the Miramar mini epic, which had so much cool stuff going on in it. Again, you got acoustic guitar and violin, and it gives way to the piano and Alberto's voice, and he's singing in E. And you get a real nice guitar solo at the end of this, but if there's one song that kind of, doesn't really ring my bell, this one is it. But I understand coming on the heels of Miramar, you might have needed a little chill down section. The penultimate track is called Bookmarks. It's another Spontan Brevin co-write. It's 6 minutes and 23 seconds. And yeah, you get more 12-string acoustic guitar. This time we are in D minor. The piano enters and it picks up a little bit at the 3-minute mark, gets a little bit of momentum going as Alberto's singing about putting your skates on. Again, more callbacks to different things on the album. Found a new home for our words, for our songs, for our homes. Some beautiful stuff, some lyrical content that, Big Train has always touched on. And a beautiful track. I love it. And that sets you up for the final track. The Last 11, I don't really understand what that title means. It's 8 minutes long, starts with some chiming guitars, and you can tell you're in a more up-tempo mode than the last two songs, which we absolutely needed. Spontan's Rickenbacker bass sounded so good here. Nick is singing lead on this song, and his drumming is just incredible throughout this track. So you've got lead vocals from Nick, from Oscar, and from Alberto. So, it's not just Alberto taking over Dave Longdon's spot. There's a whole lot going on here. Yeah, man. Nick's drumming on this track is just special. And they drop, some of the lyrics include, in this song, the old working title for this album, which was supposed to be called The Shallow Enders, because Greg Spontan and David Longdon, neither one of them swam. So that's a British thing about kids that couldn't swim. They called them the Shallow Enders. And, they thought that was a nice metaphor for, other parts of their lives once they grow up. And I just can't disagree at all with it. Alberto comes on and sings a little bit here, and then you get a beautiful Oscar Holman solo. He's just kind of like the quiet, unassuming hero of this whole album. Their brand new keyboard player, whom I absolutely love. So what is my score of this new Big Train album, man? Yeah, I definitely like it better than the last two. Is it better than Grand Tour? Man, not quite. It's close. I'm giving this puppy 9.5, man. It's almost perfect. What an incredible way to come back. A band that should have been dead, but they decided to carry on, and I know that's what David Longdon would have wanted. And wow, what an incredible record. They're back in a big-time way. Scott Medina from Sonic Perspectives agrees with me. It'll be interesting to see when all the other reviews come out. If I'm, the lone wolf here loving this album as much as I am, so far it's the best album of 2024. But, we're only in February, so I'm sure we'll have a perfect 10 score along the way somewhere as the year progresses. But that's my wrap-up of Big Train's 15th album, The Likes of Us. Anyway, I love you guys. Peace in the Middle East, free Tibet, and God save King Chucky. Save King Charles. Save him! Save King Charles! He needs your saving. That boy's got cancer. He needs your saving right now. Thoughts and prayers for King Chucky the Third. I'll see you fools tomorrow. Peace.